Hi, thank you very much for tuning in. God bless you. I'm Dr. Deepak Bhattacharya, and I'm going to talk to you today about what are the 5 key skills to crisis management. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you may have some questions as I move ahead. I would request you to please type it in the comment box, and I assure you that I will take all of them one by one. So you could please, as I'm talking, you have any questions, please go on typing. Having said that, let me go about talking to you very crisply as what are the 5 keys to crisis management. But before I go into this, I would like to ask you, what according to you is a crisis? I'm sure many of you could type also, right? But what is a crisis? See, according to me, a sudden and an unexpected event leading to a major unrest is a crisis. I'm repeating, just listen to me. A sudden and an unexpected event which leads to a major unrest is called as crisis. Now, if this unrest among individuals happens in an organization, it is called as organization crisis. If it happens in an individual life of people, this is personal crisis. Are you getting me? So let's look at what kind of organizational crisis do you have. One, I'm sure many of you are working in an organization, and the organization may have, let's say, a production department. It could have an IT company, maybe having IT services. There could be a technological failure. Now I am here talking to you on Facebook Live. It may happen that the internet conks off. So this is a technological failure. Now there's a crisis situation. We did not expect this to happen because we have a broad-based line and it should not happen, but maybe it happened. Now that could be a work crisis, an organizational crisis when we have a technological failure. 2, there could be people unrest, employees not happy in the present organization, not happy with the way the organization is running, not happy with certain things which is not going as per what they want. So you have people unrest. All of a sudden it happens. You would have known about unions, you would have known about strikes, you would have known about violences that happens, you would have known about, therefore, sometimes theft in an organization. Nobody expects that to happen, but yes, it happens, you see. And one of the major things I think when we talk about an organizational crisis is also that we in organizations as people neglect sometimes some minor issues. And because we neglect these minor issues, it goes on and becomes a major crisis. So these are the few things which I thought I will just talk to you when I talk about an organizational crisis. The second thing which I spoke about was personal crisis. Now, what's personal crisis? All of a sudden, somebody meets with an accident. All of a sudden, something happens. He loses his job, right? All of a sudden, there's a calamity in probably the family that he's in. Could be neighbors, could be whatever, etc., etc. Now, these are personal crises. So, what I told you is that what is crisis? And I just spoke about 2 different kinds of crisis. One was organizational crisis and the second was personal crisis. Now, if this is crisis, what is crisis management? Very simple, dear. The art of dealing with this unrest. The art of dealing with this unrest and a sudden, unexpected change is crisis management. That's how do you deal with this crisis? How do you deal with these you never thought that it would have happened, and it happened. So how do you deal with them? Ladies and gentlemen, now this is very important. I'll give one example. I'll just give an example of crisis management, before I move ahead. Now, obviously, you will manage whenever there's a crisis. If there's no crisis, you're not managing. So what is a crisis management? I remember in last Durga Puja, we were there and there was an old person. And what happened is all of a sudden, because this was quite warm, and he got an attack in the pandal. He got an attack. And we knew of one cardiac, I think he's a cardiac surgeon. He was there, he's a Bengali, he was there in the pandal, and you know, people started talking and announcing that, well, we need, where is Dr. Day, where is Dr. Day, where is Dr. Day, you know. And you see, they were not doing anything with that person, and he was going on perspiring. And he got an attack, he was going on perspiring. And all of a sudden, then finally we were able to get Dr. Day, you know, maybe after about 5-7 minutes or so, and then somehow he came in and he pushed that patient into the car and moved him to the hospital. And I remember what he said. I remember it very distinctly. He said that, see, very important in a person's life, and a person should think that if you have a sudden event which you didn't expect, what is the point of waiting for a doctor here? Because you know that I am also in the pandal, I may not have my stethoscope, I do not have instruments which I will check him. So instead of looking and waiting for me and announcing all over the place trying to find me, you should have pushed the patient in somebody's car and go to the hospital. Instead of wasting time here, that you kept that guy there, being there for about 15 minutes or so, till the time I came in. And when I came in, I was not able to do anything because I had nothing with me. And ultimately, we did the same thing. That is, we put him in the car and sent him to the hospital. We wasted 15 minutes. And I'm sure, dear friends, you know that in such a situation, it was a situation of life and death. In 15 minutes time, this person could have conged off, could have passed out, you know, could have expired. So what am I trying to therefore say? What I'm trying to say is that we as the individuals therefore will come across these situations, whether it is in an organization where I gave certain examples of an organizational crisis, and I also gave example of some personal crisis which we can come any point in time. And how therefore do we deal with this crisis is an art really, you know, and we need to really we need to work on it, you see. Now, you can ask me questions. I'm going to take them. So if you have anyone, please go and, you know, type them. I'm willing and I'm ready to take them. Now let's look at what are those skills, what are those keys which are required for effective crisis management. Now there are many, but I am going to talk about 5 critical skills. What are those? Number 1, I said decision making. What does this mean? Dear friends, we should have the ability to take decisions. Take this example on a personal crisis which I just gave you. You see, if there was someone who could have taken decision that there is no point, we announced once, yes, we are not getting the doctor is there, is not there, we don't know, why waste time? Come on, pick that guy up, put him into the car and take him to the nearest hospital, you know. On the other hand, we waited for 15 minutes to take a decision, waiting for the person to come, in this case the doctor. Dear friends, one of the first major skill according to me is how good are we in our decision making ability. You know, I have seen and I do certain workshops on decision making, and I say that some people do not take any decisions in life. You know why? Because they want to take the right decision. And because they want to take the right decision, they do not take any decisions. And not taking a decision is also a decision. I'm repeating. See, understand, when we are talking about decision making, no is also a decision. Yes is also a decision. Taking that guy to the nearest hospital now is a decision. Not taking him now is also a decision. But the important part is that what is a positive decision? Now, taking him up there and sending him to the hospital is a positive decision. I am taking the same example because we are short of time. Is a positive decision. But not taking him was also a decision, but is a negative decision, because at the end of the day, what we could do in the first minute of this uncertain crisis, which we call it, we did the same thing after 15 minutes.
Your account is temporarily blocked. वो दूर डिवाइस से खुला क्या, वहाँ से खुला क्या?
लॉगिन हो ही नहीं रहा।
क्वेश्चन है
अरे ये आया है कि someone recently tried login in from unfamiliar.
जबकि हो ही नहीं लॉगिन। मेरे से बार-बार गलती से पासवर्ड गलत दब रहा था।
तो वही तो was this you?
हाँ, यस कर।
Ahmedabad. This represents the location of mobile network.
नहीं तो
No.
Chrome on Samsung Galaxy on 7. That is your phone. Samsung Galaxy on 7. उससे आया है.
वापस करेंगे पार्ट 2।
आवाज आ रहा है ना बराबर, उसमें आवाज आता है ना बराबर।
चलो it's on.
What I do, I should, no, what should I do? I should start from the very beginning, the decision making.
It's going. Start.
Okay, so what we are talking about, so what I said was, you see, the first skill and the first key skill, according to me, for an effective crisis management is decision making. We need to take the right decision at the right time. And therefore I say, dear, let us do something right the first time, every time. So very, very important is this decision making. And if you see, dear, in any organizational structure you work, in any organization you will go, one of the major things that is required is decision making. As you move up the ladder, corporate ladder, you will see the top guys do decision making. And we, as individuals, should have this ability in us to take the right decision at the right time. So the first skill, according to me, is decision making, when to take that decision. The second, please have a plan. For an example, if it is an organization structure and you know that there is a technological failure. Now, if there is a technological failure, in case it happens, do we have a plan in place that if it happens like this, what do we do? Because you see, most of the plan always starts with a clear objective, okay? What do you do in an event of a crisis? Do you have a plan? If it is like this, what do we do? If it is like this, what do we do? In case, you know, our network fails now, what do we do? In case you know we are doing production and all of a sudden you see your machine conked off and you have to send the orders and send the material, and what do you do? So you need to have a plan, a clear objective and a clear plan to meet those objectives, provided we are not able to do, or provided we didn't anticipate this thing and it happened. That's the second thing. The third thing, according to me, is that we need to communicate with people. If it's a work culture, with employees, we need to communicate with our customers, we need to communicate with our supplier. Dear friends, let us understand, in case there is some problem which has happened, we have, like Cadbury had a problem and there were worms which came into the Cadbury, and you know what had happened. There are so many examples, you know. Recently, if you look at Honda City, you know, many cars were called back because there was some part which was defective. Now, in case you come to a crisis situation in an organization where there is some technological failure, what do? Do you wait and let the media hype it? I'm asking you, what do? Do you wait till the media hyping? Because you know today that if you talk about social media, you talk about, you know, print media, you'll see there's going to be hyped up. So in case you have such a crisis in your organization, I say, please communicate that. Trust your employees, trust your suppliers, trust your customers, be with them, talk to them, make them understand what is it, get them onto your page. There's a third critical skill which we need to practice. The fourth skill is update them. Update as early as possible and update as often as possible. So many times you read what we do. Oh, I gave an update. Now I have updated you on certain things. But dear, we need to update them quite often. So we need to update early and we need to update often. So we need to do that. That is the fourth skill. Update them. Update your customers as to what is happening. Update your supplier as to what is happening. If it's a personal situation, and if it's a personal crisis, in such a situation, you need to update your family members, your relative, your friends. What is happening? Update them, boss. And update them regularly and update them, therefore, at the right time. And the fifth critical skill is seek advice from experts. Dear friends, why reinvent the wheel? Ask them. Ask people. Like that example of my personal crisis which I gave you was wherein, we could have asked the doctor, what do we do? We could have called him up, and asked him, somebody had the number. In fact, we would have, asked someone, do you have Dr. Day's number? He said, yes, we have. We would have called him up. Where are you, sir? Oh, what do you do? He would have said, don't waste, go to the hospital. And we would have gone. Is it not? Dear friend, let us understand. In your lives, whether it is in personal life or whether it is in your organization life, your work life, we will come across crisis situation time in and time again. And most of the time, because this is a sudden and unexpected event, you cannot plan this. Which means that if we have to live with this, if we have to understand that this is what we need to, and we will have it throughout our life, we need to be really capable to handle, and we need to have the art for an effective crisis management. And 5 skills I spoke about, I'm summarizing. First one, have effective decision making. I'm repeating, many people do not take the decisions because they want to take right decision, and because they want to take the right decision, they take no decisions, and no decision is also decision, So I have already talked about that what do you do? The second thing I said, have a very clear-cut plan, because only when you have a very clear-cut objective as to what you will do, when you have a situation which is a crisis situation, what are your objectives at that point in time? And you need to have a plan to meet those objectives. The third point is, I said communicate. Communicate with your employees, communicate with your customers, communicate with your supplier in case of a organization crisis. In case of a personal crisis, communicate with your near and dear ones. Communicate to them. And the fourth one I said was update them. And update early. Update early. That's very important. Don't wait to update afterwards. Update them early. And update them quite often. That's the fourth point I spoke about. And the fifth one, the last but not the least, I said was, please seek advice from experts. Ask them. Ask them for guidance. Go there, get to them and ask them, this is a situation, what do we do? Right? And therefore, I am sure that if you will be able to practice this time in and time again, there will be situations which will be tough in life. In fact, just to end it, I would like to tell you that I don't use the word crisis. I feel crisis is okay. That's the dictionary meaning, a sudden and unexpected change. But I feel that that's a challenging situation. So we come across a challenging situation. Now, whether you say it's a crisis situation or whether you say it's a challenging situation is different. But I feel that when I use the word challenging, I feel positive, And I feel that, when it is a challenging situation, I am prepared to take that challenge and work to achieve what I want to achieve, actually battling that challenge. But when the word crisis comes in, sometimes, because I don't know, I'm not talking about grammatically, but I feel we have some kind of fear and we say, wow, crisis, you see. Ye lafda hai. Kuch to problem hai, But we say, no, there's a challenge, boss. No problem. There's a challenge. Oh, we will be able to handle it quite well, So if you have any questions, I'm willing to take them. If you have any questions, I'm willing to take them. I see some, a question coming in here. Supriya Datta is asking me that, sir, what is the difference between an issue and a crisis? Oh, that's good, Issue as a crisis and how to escalate the situation internally in the organization. Oh, very good question, you see. So you said, what is the difference between an issue and a crisis? You have asked the question which is two parts, dear. We talked about what is an issue and a crisis, Now, this depends upon how do you look at it. I would like to ask you, Supriya. I gave an example. Let's take a personal situation. I gave a situation, all of a sudden something happened to your family member. Would you say it's an issue or would you say it's a crisis? I'm going to ask you, right? Dear, understand. You see, when you talk about in a personal thing, an issue, see, there could be many things which happens, okay? Some things which comes in all of a sudden, I said this. What was crisis? I explained you this. I explained the definition of crisis. It's a sudden and unexpected event leading to a major unrest. Now that's a crisis, which was unexpected. Now when you're doing something, you see, and you say these are the situation. Now you could say it an issue. It's not a situation, where you could probably have something, which major to do, and that's one part of it. Second part of looking at it is that how are you as an individual looking at it? Like for me, I always feel positive, and I always talk positive, and I always think that every situation is a challenge in my life, and to me there is no issue and there is no crisis. To me there is a situation which I need to handle, and if I need to handle, I will handle that. Now whether I call it an issue or whether I think it's a crisis or whether I think it's a challenge, it's all in my mind. So it's a mind game. So change your thinking, change your thinking. You're good. Change your thinking, And you said, wow, I'm going to work on that, So don't you worry, you see. Whether it's an organization, next part of your question you asked me was that how to escalate the situation internally in the organization. Why do you want to escalate the situation? Why? I mean, if you have a team of people working on it, and you are on a higher hierarchy level, you go and you tell them they are good people, trust them, have faith in them, believe in them, train them, motivate them, inspire them, and tell them how to do that, and they will be doing. Why do I escalate the situation? So it's totally up to you. If you are the person who is probably wanting to do it, and if you feel like this, I have given you 5 things. Take decision. Talk to your expert. Talk to your boss. Right? Talk to your colleagues. Talk to other superiors, whom you feel. Communicate with them. Tell them that this is what you're feeling. Ask advice. Ask help. Take guidance, you see, and you will be able to come out of this, beta. There is nothing in life which will not be able to come out with this if, I'm repeating the 5 steps, if we are able to make good decisions, 2, if we are able to work on an objective, 3, if we are able to communicate, seek help, seek guidance, seek, and be motivated, be inspired to act on that. That's very important. Do I want to act on that is very important. Some people say, oh, no, I don't want to act on it, and I want to just sleep on that. Now you want to act on it. So, you need to be inspired to do that. Update yourself. Update your bosses early. Update them often as to what is happening. And the 5th thing is, seek advice. And I'm sure you will be able to do it, dear. If you have any still further questions, please ask me. I'll be too glad to answer that. Okay, anybody else? Yeah, Pranali Sawant. I have Pranali Sawant here asking me another question. What should be the highest priority of managing crisis? Okay, what could be the highest priority of managing crisis? Now again, it depends upon which is the situation and what are you thinking as a crisis. So prioritize in life is a priority. And we need all to prioritize in life. If we are working at one situation or in one situation with various elements, which whether you call it an issue or a crisis, like I just explained, you need to understand here that what are these 5 things and what, first, if there are 5 things, You need to prioritize. Which one is it that you're going to act first? That's the first thing. So you need to take a decisions, right? You need to take a decision. Okay, I'm going to work on this first. That's one. That's from the second thing which you need to do when we talk about managing a crisis is that what is it that we need to do? Now you need to do all of them. You need to do some of them. You need to do, none of them sometimes. Sometimes time could be a factor which crisis goes away. Sometimes we may not be able to do anything, So we'll have to wait and it passes away. Is it not? So we have to take decisions depending on the crisis or challenging situation. What is that challenging situation? You need to answer that. Are you clear? Any other question? Anybody has any other question? Okay. Okay, very good. She has, Pranali has written another question to me. Pranali, very good, beta. Thank you so much for it. Sir, as you mentioned, to manage a crisis, one has to be good at decision making. How can one be better taking decision? Now, well, decision making is another huge chapter, in itself, dear. See, understand. I think just to cut it very, very short and just to explain it in a very short time, I am sure every day in your life you are taking decision. For example, today when you got up in the morning, which dress to wear? Have you not taken a decision? Which train to take or bus to take? Have you not taken a decision? Whether I will go to office is a decision. Whether you want to continue with that same office is a decision. Whether you want to talk to someone is a decision. So dear, you have been taking decision, and every individual who is sane and has the ability to think, because God has given you that resource. What is the resource that God has given you? I say there are 6 resources which God has given everyone. First, God has given you a life. 2, God has given you equivalent time. 3, God has given you talent. 4th, God has given you the ability to think. Is it not? God has given, everybody has got that. 5th, God has given you opportunity. And 6th, God has given you amazing grace. Everybody has got amazing grace. How do you use these 6 resources in your life is a decision that you need to take. And people who take, because all these, see, if you talk about Bill Gates, he has all the 6 things. If you talk about me, I also have all the 6 things. If you talk about you, you also have all the 6 things. Now, the person who does well in life decides, decision, right? Decides what he wants to do in what time. Some people want to sleep. That's a decision. So what are you doing? I'm sleeping, That's a decision. So you need to be very clear that you are taking decisions. That's the first thing. Number 2, you decide your goal. You decide your objective. You need to take a decision for that also. Then you need to have a plan on how do you meet your objective, and you need to make a plan, and what you are going to do in that plan is a decision that you need to take. Now you have planned. You will implement that plan. It's a decision you need to take that, dear, I have to implement the plan. So decision making is a continuous dynamic process. You need to be very clear on your objective. You need to be very clear with what is it that you want to achieve in your life. You need to be very clear on, are you able and willing to do what is required for you to do what you want to do, and things will be very smooth. Decision making, therefore, dear, is a very big chapter. It's by itself. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for asking the question. Thank you very, very much, dear friends, for tuning in. God bless you, and I love you all. Bye-bye.